India, right now, is in the middle of one of the biggest infrastructure transformations on the planet. But what does that really mean? Well, today, we're going to break down the official blueprint straight from the latest economic survey. And look, if you're gearing up for your exams, these are the facts, the figures, and the strategies that you absolutely need to have on lockdown. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the grand vision, the why behind it all. Then we'll dive into the nitty-gritty, the physical arteries of growth, the digital nervous system, and the social infrastructure that really impacts daily life. And you'll definitely want to stick around because we're going to wrap it all up with a quick-fire revision to make sure these key points are cemented in your mind for exam day. So what's the end game here? What's the ultimate goal? It all comes down to one powerful phrase, Viksit Bharat, a developed India by the year 2047. And the foundation for that entire vision, the absolute bedrock, is being laid right now with infrastructure. This quote right here, this is the key to understanding the entire strategy. It's the government basically saying, look, we can't do this alone. Public money by itself just isn't enough. The whole plan, the whole engine of this operation revolves around a powerful combination, massive government spending to get projects off the ground, paired with private sector investment to carry them over the finish line. This public-private partnership is everything. Okay, so the government strategy is this clever 1-2 punch. And for your exams, here's a simple way to remember it. NIP and NMP. The National Infrastructure Pipeline, or NIP, is for all the brand new greenfield projects, building a new highway from absolute scratch. But where does the money for that come from? Well, a big part of it is the National Monetization Pipeline, or NMP. This is about unlocking value in existing, or brownfield, public assets. Think leasing out an old port to a private company. So NIP builds the new, and NMP helps pay for it by making money off the old. Simple as that. And this is not just some plan on paper. The government is seriously putting its money where its mouth is. Just look at this jump in capital expenditure. We're talking a trend increase of almost 39% in just 4 years. That is a massive signal that infrastructure isn't just a priority, it's the top priority. All right, so with that grand vision in mind, let's look at the physical pillars of this growth. We're talking about the real arteries of the economy, the roads, the railways, and the ports that literally keep everything moving. First up, railways. And the key word here is modernization. Yeah, you've got the high-profile projects like the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail. But you know what's a real game-changer from an economic point of view? The dedicated freight corridors. With over 96% of this network now up and running, goods can finally move across the country on their own exclusive tracks. No more getting stuck behind passenger trains. It is a massive, massive boost for logistics and efficiency. Now get ready for a statistic that might just blow your mind. Our national highways, they make up just 2% of our total road network. A tiny fraction, right? But they carry a staggering 40% of all road freight. This just shows you how incredibly critical they are. They are the heavy lifters, the absolute express lanes of the Indian economy, punching way, way above their weight. And this growth didn't just happen by accident. It was totally strategic. You can see a clear plan unfold over the last decade. It began with expanding the base network. Then came the massive Bharatmala Pariyojana, focused on creating economic corridors. At the same time, key pilgrimage routes like the Char Dham Highway were also developed. It's a multi-pronged attack that has completely transformed our national highway grid. It's not just about building more stuff. It's about being way more efficient. And this chart right here shows a huge win. The average time a container just sits at a major port has been slashed from over 48 hours down to just about 30. So why does this matter? Well, it means goods get to the market faster. It cuts costs for businesses, and it makes products that are made in India much more competitive on the global stage. It's a really big deal. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the infrastructure that's maybe less visible, but every bit as vital. We're talking about the power grid, the economy's lifeblood, and the digital networks that act as its central nervous system. This chart really tells a story, doesn't it? It captures the massive shift happening in India's energy sector. Just look at that. Renewable energy now makes up almost half of our total installed capacity. And it's pretty clear who the rock star of the show is. Solar is absolutely leading this green revolution. This is a huge, huge step towards India's net zero climate goals. And this isn't just about big, abstract numbers. This is about real change in people's everyday lives. The difference in rural areas is just incredible. A decade ago, they were getting on average 12 and a half hours of power a day. Today,
That number is almost 22 hours. This is the direct impact of schemes like Sobhagya, which have been closing that urban-rural gap and completely transforming the quality of life.
And now for the digital revolution. The number you need to wrap your head around is this: over 4.6 lakh. That's how many 5G base stations have been installed at a blistering pace across the country. And this is so much more than just faster downloads. This is the backbone, the fundamental grid for the next wave of technology. Everything from smart cities and IoT devices to advanced telemedicine. It's the foundation for a truly digital India.
All right, let's bring it all back down to the ground level, to what is arguably the most important piece of the puzzle: human-centric infrastructure. We're talking about the systems that directly impact the quality of life for millions and millions of people every single day.
We've all heard of the Swachh Bharat mission, the Clean India mission. Its first phase was all about one thing: achieving open defecation-free status. But the mission has grown up. It's evolved. The goalposts have moved, and now the focus is on becoming truly garbage-free. So how do you even measure that? Well, the government has created a whole new set of standards to track this progress.
Okay, pay very close attention here, because this table is pure exam gold. These are the new terms you have got to know. The best way to think about it is like a ladder of cleanliness. The first step, the base, is ODF, open defecation free. Climb a step higher, you get to ODF+, which adds clean public toilets to the mix. The next rung up is ODF++, which requires safe management of all the waste. And right at the very top, the gold standard, is Water Plus, which means treating and reusing wastewater, creating a full circular economy. And this transformation goes way beyond just sanitation. There's a whole coordinated effort to upgrade India's cities. You've got PMA Urban tackling the housing shortage, you've got AMRUT 2.0 working on water security, and you've got a metro network that is expanding at an absolutely incredible rate to make commutes easier. Put them all together, and these missions are aiming for a complete, holistic upgrade of the urban experience.
Okay, I know that was a ton of information, so let's do this. Let's boil it all down to the absolute essentials. This next slide is your high-yield summary, your ultimate cheat sheet designed for that final revision right before you walk into the exam hall. All right, here are the absolute must-to-knows. The vision? Viksit Bharat by 2047. The strategy? The twin pipelines, NIP and NMP. You've got to lock in these numbers. 96.4% of freight corridors are done. Remember the 2%, 40% rule for highways? Port turnaround time is down to 30.4 hours. Renewables are at 47% of capacity, and there are over 4.6 lakh 5G stations. And finally, know that sanitation ladder. ODF, ODF+, ODF++, all the way to Water Plus. These are the core facts that are highly likely to pop up on your exam.
And so we end right back where we started, with this central critical question. The government has clearly put in the work. It has used public funds to build a powerful foundation and kickstart this incredible infrastructure boom. But, as the economic survey itself admits, achieving the dream of a developed India, of a Viksit Bharat, is going to depend on what happens next, successfully and fully bringing the private sector on board. And that remains the biggest challenge, and maybe the greatest opportunity, on the long road to 2047.